All right, so today we're going to be looking at some really, really interesting AI research.
Oh, yeah.
And it really kind of begs the question, like, are we living in a sci-fi movie?
I know, right.
Because we're talking about AI that learns like a scientist, like
Yeah.
actually doing experiments and testing theories, the whole shebang.
It is a huge step forward from, just feeding AI information and
Right.
and hoping it comes up with something good.
Exactly. So we're going to be taking excerpts from this research paper that is talking about foundation models,
Okay.
which, you're familiar with. These are the powerhouses behind things like ChatGPT.
Sure.
But this research isn't about chatbots.
Right.
It's really about, can AI actively gather information to solve a problem?
So they call this information gathering.
Yeah.
And it's really a very different way of looking at AI.
Right. Like it's not just being trained on, tons of data.
Yeah, like usually we give AI a ton of data
Right.
and say, find the patterns. But in this research, they kind of threw out the rule book and said,
Yeah.
can you figure this out on your own?
Right. Can you go explore and figure this out just like a scientist in a lab?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did they set up this AI science fair?
Well, they had two unique environments.
Okay.
The first one was text-based.
Okay.
So imagine a digital space with a bunch of objects,
Mm-hmm.
and each object has properties like color, shape, texture.
Yeah.
The AI's task was to pick objects and see if it gets a reward.
So it's like a digital treasure hunt.
Yeah, like a digital treasure hunt.
It's going through trying to find the winning combination.
Exactly.
What about the second environment?
So the second environment was called Construction Lab.
Okay.
And this was a simulated 3D factory.
Oh, wow.
So you've got a conveyor belt and a machine that reacts to the objects that are placed on it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a little bit more visual and complex for the AI.
Yeah, it seems a little bit more like a real-world puzzle in a way.
A little bit more real world.
Right. Okay, so we've got our virtual labs.
Yes.
But how do they actually test the AI's ability to explore?
Well, that's where the clever design comes in.
Okay.
So both environments had clear rules,
Okay.
but the objectives, or what triggers the reward, was hidden.
Ah.
So the AI has to kind of explore and test things out and kind of reverse engineer what the rules of the game are.
I see. So it's like giving somebody a chemistry set, but not telling them which chemicals do what.
That's a great analogy.
Right. So they have to just mix things and observe reactions and
Exactly.
figure it out.
Yeah.
I like it.
Now, to make things even more interesting, they had two types of tasks.
Okay.
They had single feature tasks and conjunction tasks.
Got it.
So in the single feature tasks, only one property of the object mattered.
Okay.
So, for example, only selecting a red object would give you a reward.
So just find the red thing.
Just find the red thing.
Easy peasy.
Conjunction tasks added another layer of complexity.
Okay.
So to get a reward, the AI had to figure out a combination of features. So let's say the object had to be red and square.
Got it.
So now it has to look at multiple features at the same time.
Okay, now that sounds a little bit harder.
A little bit harder.
So how did our AI scientists perform in these experiments?
So they used an AI called Gemini.
Okay.
And you know what? It aced the single feature tasks.
Oh, wow.
It almost perfectly matched the optimal strategy.
So it was like a master detective. You know, it found that one clue and zeroed in on it.
It's amazing.
So it was like Sherlock Holmes of AI?
Right.
What about the conjunction tasks? Did it keep up that stellar performance?
So that's where things got interesting.
Okay.
It still performed well,
Okay.
but it wasn't quite as dominant.
Okay.
It seems that even for advanced AI, reasoning about multiple factors at the same time
Yeah.
presents a unique challenge.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Like, it's not just about processing power. It's
Right.
something about that multi-layered thinking that maybe...
Yeah, there's another level there.
It's a different type of intelligence.
It is.
Did the size of the AI matter?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, did a bigger AI mean better performance?
So here's the real shocker.
Okay.
They tested two versions of Gemini.
Huh?
Pro, which was the larger model,
Okay.
and Flash, which was smaller and faster.
Okay.
And surprisingly, Flash was better at those single feature tasks.
Wow. So size doesn't always equal success.
Right.
What might explain Flash's, unexpected victory?
Well, it could point to the importance of efficiency.
Okay.
Maybe for simpler tasks, a smaller, more agile AI
Yeah.
can just cut through the noise more effectively.
It's like the difference between using a scalpel and a sledgehammer.
Exactly.
Sometimes you need that.
Sometimes you need the fine
Precision,
measurements.
right. But I imagine for those complex conjunction tasks, it probably needed that raw power of Pro, right?
You're absolutely right. When it came to those multifaceted problems,
Yeah.
Pro's extra processing power was an asset, especially when they introduced this concept of self-correction.
Self-correction intriguing.
I know, right?
Tell me more about that. How did they incorporate that into the experiment?
So they allowed the AI to go back
Mm.
and critique its own decisions.
Wow.
It could revise its thinking,
Interesting.
just like a scientist double-checking their work.
So they basically gave the AI a chance to say, hold on, I think I missed something.
Exactly.
And that actually improved its performance.
It did, especially on those tricky conjunction tasks.
Wow. So it shows that the AI isn't just blindly following algorithms.
Right.
There's a capacity for reflection there
There is,
and improvement.
for sure.
I love that. But we haven't even talked about the 3D world yet. How did Gemini handle the challenge of actually seeing and navigating in the construction lab environment?
So remember, the text-based world was all about abstract properties.
Right.
In Construction Lab, the AI had to actually perceive and interact with visual space.
Right. So a whole different ballgame.
The whole different ballgame.
Did it rise to the challenge?
It did remarkably.
Wow.
Even in this more realistic setting, it was able to figure out what to test and experiment with.
Wow. However,
Don't leave me hanging.
so its vision wasn't perfect.
Oh.
There were instances where it seemed to misinterpret what it was seeing.
Okay.
And this led to some flawed conclusions.
So even super brainy AI can have a few blurry pixels.
Exactly.
Right? It's not perfect.
It's still under development.
That's an important reminder.
Uh-huh.
So overall, though, it sounds like these AI are capable of some pretty impressive exploration and learning.
They really are showing a level of autonomous learning that we haven't seen before.
It's not just about crunching data anymore.
No, it's about actively seeking out information and testing hypotheses.
Just like a human scientist.
Exactly.
It's mind-blowing to think about the possibilities.
Right.
But let's bring this back down to earth a little bit. These were controlled environments.
Yes.
Right? What happens when you let these AI explorers loose in the real world where the rules aren't so neatly defined? That is the million-dollar question.
Right. Like, what could they discover? What problems could they solve?
Right.
But also, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
It's both exciting and maybe a little bit scary.
A little bit of both.
Right. And that's exactly what we'll be looking at in the next part of our deep dive.
Yes.
We'll be discussing the potential implications of AI exploration in the real world, both the amazing opportunities
Right.
and the potential pitfalls we need to watch out for. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It really is remarkable to think about, AI exploring the real world.
Yeah.
Like not just solving problems that we give it, but maybe identifying problems that we don't even know about yet.
I know. It's like we've gone from AI as a tool to AI as like a collaborator, exactor in discovery.
Yeah.
But, before we get all starry-eyed about AI solving all our problems,
Sure.
let's talk about the potential downsides, right?
Very.
Because there are always two sides to the coin with any new technology.
Yeah, every advancement comes with its own set of challenges and risks.
For sure.
And with AI, especially an AI that can explore on its own,
Right.
those risks are kind of magnified.
Exactly. So let's put on our skeptical hats for a second.
Yeah.
What are some concerns people might have about AI exploring the real world? Like, what could go wrong?
Well, one immediate concern is this possibility of unintended consequences.
Okay.
In those research environments, everything was very controlled.
Right.
So you could minimize harm, but in the real world, the stakes are much higher.
Yeah.
Imagine an AI exploring the stock market.
Right.
Its decisions could have a ripple effect on the global economy.
Yeah, that's a little unsettling.
It is.
Because even with the best intentions, an AI could trigger a chain reaction that it doesn't fully understand.
Right. And unlike a computer simulation,
Yeah.
there's no undo button in the real world.
Exactly. You can't just hit Control Z and,
Right. Well,
rewind everything.
Exactly. And then you got the issue of bias.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
AI, even these advanced models,
Right.
they're trained on massive amounts of data.
Right. And all that data comes from humans.
And as we know, human data can be full of bias.
Yes. Conscious and unconscious bias.
Yeah. So an AI exploring, say, social dynamics
Right.
could end up reflecting those biases or even amplifying them.
That's a scary thought.
It is a concern.
Yeah. Because, if it's not designed carefully, it could perpetuate the very biases that we're trying to eliminate.
Exactly. And that could have consequences for fairness and equality.
Right. It's almost like we need like a set of ethical guidelines for AI exploration.
That's a good idea. And there actually is this whole field of AI ethics.
Okay.
Researchers and policymakers, they're working to establish, frameworks and guidelines.
So it's not just a Wild West out there.
No, it's not a Wild West.
Okay.
There are people thinking about this stuff.
People are definitely thinking about this and trying to put safeguards in place.
That's reassuring.
It's a complex landscape, but there's a definite effort to make sure that AI benefits humanity. Okay.
Rather than causing harm.
Right. But it's a conversation that needs to keep happening.
It does.
Right. We can't just, set it and forget it.
Absolutely not.
Okay, good. So let's shift gears for a minute.
Okay.
We talked about the risks.
Yes.
Let's not forget about the incredible potential upside here.
Oh, yeah.
What are some areas where you think AI exploration could make a real positive difference in the world?
Oh, the possibilities are vast.
Yeah.
One area that's really exciting is scientific discovery.
Okay.
Imagine an AI exploring the complexities of molecular biology.
Right.
It could identify new drug targets or help develop personalized therapies.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
We're talking revolutionizing medicine, improving human health on a massive scale, and it doesn't stop there, right?
It doesn't stop at healthcare.
This could be applied to any field with large data sets and complex patterns to unravel.
Any field, think climate change research materials, science, even space exploration.
It's like having a million scientists working 24/7.
Yeah. Each with a different perspective and an insatiable curiosity.
And a key advantage is that AI doesn't get tired.
Right.
It doesn't get discouraged.
Yeah.
It doesn't have preconceived notions. It's just a pure exploration machine.
But of course, we can't just unleash these AI explorers without any guidance.
Right.
We still need that human oversight.
Right. We do human ingenuity, human creativity, and ethical judgment.
Yeah.
Those are still essential. Yeah. We need to be the ones setting the goals, asking the right questions, and interpreting the results.
So it's really more of a partnership.
It is.
AI and humans working together to, push the boundaries of knowledge and solve some of the world's biggest challenges. But it's not about replacing humans. It's about augmenting our capabilities.
Yeah.
And, going further than we ever could on our own.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's be real.
Okay.
This all sounds very futuristic.
What's the timeline here? Are we talking years, decades, centuries before we see AI explorers making a real-world impact?
That's a tough question to answer.
Yeah.
AI is advancing so rapidly.
Right.
But there's still some big hurdles.
Like what? Give us the insider perspective. What are the big challenges holding back AI exploration?
One of the biggest is robustness.
Robustness.
AI systems, as they stand now, are still pretty fragile. They can be easily thrown off by unexpected inputs or changes in the environment.
So they need to be more adaptable.
More adaptable.
Able to adjust on the fly.
Exactly, and that's a complex engineering challenge.
So robustness is one hurdle.
Another big one is explainability.
Explainability, okay.
Even the developers of these AI systems often can't fully explain how they arrive at their conclusions.
It's like the AI is saying, here's the answer, but don't ask me how I got it.
Right, it's a black box.
And that lack of transparency can be a real obstacle.
It is.
To trust and adoption. Because if we're going to allow these AI to explore the world and potentially make decisions, we need to be able to trust their judgment.
We do.
And that trust comes from understanding how they think.
Exactly.
So robustness, explainability, and of course all the ethical stuff we talked about.
Yes.
Those are the key challenges that researchers are working on right now.
They are.
It's really an incredible time to be witnessing all of this.
It is.
We're really on the cusp of a technological revolution.
Yeah.
And the possibilities seem endless.
They do.
But as with any revolution, there are risks and rewards.
For sure.
And it's up to us to, navigate them carefully.
Navigate them wisely.
Well said.
Thank you.
Speaking of discovery, there are a few more fascinating aspects of this research to explore. So stick with us. We'll be right back after a quick break.
Okay, so we're back and ready to kind of wrap up our exploration into this AI exploration.
We've talked about the potential. We talked about the risks, the challenges, all that good stuff. I'm curious from your perspective, what surprised you the most about this research?
What really struck me
Yeah.
was how seamlessly these AI systems went from, those simple text-based tasks to that much more complex 3D environment.
Right.
Like they didn't just learn to play one game. They seemed to grasp the fundamental principles of exploration and apply them to a whole new situation.
Right.
That level of generalization, I think that's a pretty significant development in AI.
It is. It's almost like they were able to pull out the core logic of exploration and then just adapt it to a whole different sensory experience.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier, though, that the AI's vision wasn't perfect in that 3D world. Did the researchers have any suggestions for how to improve that aspect?
Yeah, it was interesting. Their recommendations weren't about just building bigger or more complex models. They suggested that the key might be to enhance the AI's ability to actually recognize objects and actions within that 3D environment.
So it's not about increasing the raw processing power.
Right.
It's more about refining its perceptual abilities.
Exactly.
Making sure it can see and interpret its surroundings accurately.
Yeah, solidifying that foundation upon which the exploration is built.
Yeah.
And, that could involve fine-tuning the model's visual perception capabilities.
Right.
Or developing more robust algorithms for object recognition.
It makes me think about how we learn as children. We start with basic shapes and colors, and then gradually build up to more complex objects and scenes.
Exactly.
It seems like AI development is following a similar trajectory.
It does seem that way.
But imagine the possibilities if we can overcome these challenges. We're not just talking about AI that can explore the world, but AI that can help us understand it in ways we never thought possible.
Exactly. Picture AI collaborating with archaeologists to unearth hidden artifacts.
Right. Or working with biologists to track endangered species in the rainforest.
Exactly. The potential is huge.
And let's not forget the potential for AI to tackle some of humanity's biggest problems.
Right.
Climate change, poverty, disease.
Yeah, these are complex challenges that AI could help us with.
I think the idea of AI working in partnership with humans is so exciting.
I agree.
Complementing our strengths, helping us overcome our limitations.
Yeah, working together toward a common goal.
It's not about AI replacing humans.
No.
It's about augmenting our capabilities.
Exactly.
And pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's a really inspiring vision of the future.
It is.
Where AI and humans collaborate to create a better world.
A more sustainable, equitable, prosperous world for everyone.
That's the goal.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners will remember?
I think the most important thing to remember is that the future of AI is full of potential.
Yeah.
Both positive and negative.
Right.
It's up to all of us to be part of this conversation.
Have those tough questions.
Yeah, to think about the ethical implications.
And to make sure that it's used.
To make sure that AI is used for good.
Well said.
Thank you.
And on that note, we'll bring this episode of the Deep Dive to a close.
Okay.
A huge thank you to our expert for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to all of you listening out there, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Yes.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big, audacious questions.
Absolutely. And we'll see you next time.